entertaining talking sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video as the New York Giants drop to 0-4 as they drop a tough one against the LA Rams. And, if you were being honest with yourself going into this game, the Giants were, I think, getting 13.5 points. I don't think anybody that was thinking rationally thought that the New York Giants were going to win this game. And they came out and they dropped a game 17-9 against the LA Rams. The Rams now go to 3-1 on the season as they continue to beat up on the NFC East. This is now the third NFC East opponent that they've beaten. They also beat the Cowboys, they beat the Eagles, and now they beat the New York Giants and look to be one of the best teams in the league. And when you look at the NFC East right now, it's downright pathetic. The Eagles play tonight. We'll see if they win. The Washington football team at 1-3. The Cowboys at 1-3, and they could easily be 0-4. And the New York Giants now at 0-4. And, I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear about moral victories. You don't want to hear about positives from this game. But if you're going into this game and you thought the New York Giants were going to win, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There was no way the New York Giants should have won this game. And in my preview video, what I asked from this team this game, and we'll get into some of the poor performances from sure. We'll break down the game. But I asked for effort. I asked for max effort. And I asked to have an opportunity going into the fourth quarter. And I asked for Daniel Jones not to turn the football over and give us an opportunity to win down the stretch. And that's what happened. Now, he did fumble earlier in the game. He was able to recover his own fumble. But outside of that, and excluding the last drive, which I'll get into, the New York Giants had an opportunity to at least send this game to overtime down the stretch. And against a team like this on the road, that's really all you could hope for. And last week was a complete and utter embarrassment. And I was so embarrassed to be a New York Giants fan. I was so embarrassed to even make a video off of that performance. It was so bad that I didn't even want to come on YouTube to talk about it. I didn't even go live Friday night because I was still so hung up about it with the effort that team put forward. Well, today, we lost. I'm upset that we lost. But the effort, I am proud to be a New York Giant fan with the effort that this team put forward today. And I'm not talking specifically about Daniel Jones because I know that's what everybody's going to want me to hear me bash the quarterback because, well, the quarterback's the most important position on the team. He's the face of the franchise. But the offensive line today, and I've talked about progression. I've talked about that I think it's going to take 6-7 weeks to see this team start to gel in all facets. The offensive line today, I don't care what the stats say. I know Jones was sacked 5 times. The offensive line today played great. It was the first time all year that I've seen the running back get to have a running head start. And maybe great's not the right word, but in comparison to what it was the first 3 weeks, it looks night and day. This looked like an adequate offensive line in the NFL. And you had Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald, for the most part, didn't say his name very much throughout this game. Nick Gates, the interior line, Hernandez, or Zeitler, I think was matched up on him rather, did a fantastic job of keeping Aaron Donald out of the box score. And I didn't even look at the box score, so let me look. Maybe Donald had a sack. He might have. He very well may have. Let me see. Aaron Donald did not. He had a half a sack. But regardless, the New York Giants did a phenomenal job in getting a push up front. For the game, the New York Giants had 136 yards on the ground. They averaged 5.4 yards a carry. Yeah, Jones accounted for a lot of that. 6 carries for 45 yards, but Gottleman was 6 for 45, averaging 7.5 yards a carry. Freeman 11 for 33, averaging 3 yards a carry. Dion Lewis had 1 for 10. And, and maybe the stats don't indicate it, but Freeman ran very hard. And they were always getting positive yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards. They were setting Daniel Jones up for more efficient passing opportunities. Now, of course, we didn't get into the end zone in this game, so I'm not going to tell you it was a great offensive performance. It just wasn't. And, the Giants had their opportunities. They got the forced fumble in which Austin Johnson, who got a little bit more playing time today, forced that fumble. They had 2 sacks. Fackrell played very well throughout the entirety of this game. The defense as a whole played very well. I know they got lost on that one play to Cooper Kupp. Looked like that Darnay Holmes blitzed and they didn't pick up the wide receiver, whatever it may have been. It was a blown coverage play. But outside of that one play and the first drive, which was horrible, where I thought it was going to be a very long day where the Rams just did whatever they want, you take that one drive out of it, the defense played a near flawless game. I mean, you got max effort today. There were no broken tackles. Whenever the Rams caught a pass, that was it. They weren't getting extra yards. They played great. But when the New York Giants had that opportunity, they created that fumble, they weren't able to get it into the end zone. And that really was when I started to think, well, we're probably not going to win this game. When you get opportunities like that, you have to be able to cash in. But the New York Giants did everything I've been asking them to do. They did. They had two crucial penalties, and we're going to get into Joe Judge's decision later in the game. They had two crucial penalties when they were getting deep into enemy territory where they had two false starts, I think it was, or maybe one was an illegal formation that backed them up. That definitely wasn't good, but they won the time of possession. They really won the turnover battle until the last play of the game. They won the time of possession by 7 minutes, and they were losing by 2 minutes going into the half, and the Rams started with the football. They played as good of a football game as I could hope for outside of winning the football game and making plays down the stretch. But in terms of a team effort, the defense played great. They gave you a max effort. That's what I asked for. And if I'm going to rant about a game like this, I'm a hypocrite. The New York Giants gave you everything they had. They fought for their head coach, Joe Judge. We'll get into the decision that Joe Judge made down the stretch, but I was very encouraged with the effort that this football team put forth on both sides of the football. The offensive line, I was really discouraged about it after the first 3 weeks. They looked like a professional offensive line today, and hopefully they're able to build off of this and get better going forward. Daniel Jones was lackluster. I mean, like I said, he didn't make a lot of mistakes leading up until that last drive, but he wasn't making plays either, and maybe he was a little gun-shy. Maybe he was not trying to make that mistake to keep his team in the football game. The thing I don't like, the Giants didn't really take many shots down the field. Maybe they took one or two. They didn't take a lot of shots down the field. That continues to be something that I noticed, and it wasn't like they didn't have time, especially as that game wore along. The New York Giants had a pretty clean pocket for Daniel Jones. Maybe the wide receivers couldn't create separation. That very well may be the case. I don't get an opportunity to watch the game film right after I make these videos. And maybe they didn't have opportunities to take shots down the field, but I want to see that more, and hopefully they start to implement that as the year goes along. But the offensive line as a whole, to me, gets a near A+ based on where they were and where they are after today, based on that effort. And you have to hope that they're able to continue to do that. And I think they have a favorable matchup next week. We've seen the way the Cowboys defense has played, and I think this offense could start to maybe build some momentum going into that Washington game. But yeah, of course, nobody likes to take moral victories. But this team's not very good, and they went out there and they gave you everything they had. In terms of the last drive, before that, Joe Judge, a lot of people were critical about it. I kind of get both sides of it. But in a 4th and 11, obviously the percentages tell you to take the 3 points. It would have been about a 45-yard field goal. Take the 3 points, and you got about 2.5 minutes left to get the ball back. In the end, it wouldn't have mattered. We didn't score a touchdown anyway. But you could certainly argue that he should have tried for 3 there with Gano, and then gotten the ball back with an opportunity to win rather than having to rely on a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to send it to overtime. So I think that is fair to be critical about Judge on that play. In terms of the last drive, up until the last play, Daniel Jones made some miraculous plays with his legs. I mean, people are going to forget about it because they're just going to look at the interception. I was going bananas when he was able to get out of the pocket, spin out of the sack, and make a play with his legs for 14 yards. Made another play with his legs down the sideline. He was using his legs the entire game. Took a couple of hits that I kind of cringed at throughout the course of the game. But yeah, of course, the play in the end was a bad decision by Daniel Jones. You can't make that throw there. It was 2nd and 5. You throw that ball away, or you try to take off and run with it, and you still have 2 plays to get 5 yards. And those are the types of situations where a franchise quarterback finds a way to make the play. And I'm still going to continue to say that he's young, and we hope that he develops, but I understand the criticism, and I understand why people are starting to think about whether or not he could be the quarterback going forward. I understand that. I'm going to continue to say that I need to see a full season before I fully evaluate Daniel Jones. But today was, that's a spot where you expect him to make the play. He made some plays to get us in that opportunity, but he's got to finish off the drive, something he's been unable to do so far this year. And hopefully, as this offense continues to improve with the offensive line and establishing a ground game, which I've told you guys I expect to happen. I thought it would take to week 6 or week 7. I think we're starting to see signs of it definitely today, and hopefully we can continue that. I don't want to say that this is going to carry over because I thought the defense would carry over, and last week they laid a goose egg. They didn't put forth any effort. Today they gave you every inch of sweat that they had, and they just came up short against a much better football team on the road. It sucks that we lost. It sucks that we weren't able to score a touchdown, but there was a lot of positives to take out of this game. Winning the time of possession, being able to ground, being able to pound, not making too many mistakes. We could have easily had another interception. I thought that ball looked like it was off the defender's knee. I think that was Tate Crowder, who actually got a lot more opportunity today. I noticed that as well. The New York Giants made some substitutions. Guys like Tate Crowder got more burn. You saw Matt Barrett got in there for a little bit as well. I thought Nick Gates had a phenomenal football game. outside of the snapping problems. I mentioned that throughout the live stream. There was a bunch of high snaps, but overall, the blocking as a whole, I was very encouraged by, maybe after the first one or two drives when they really started to step up their game. And that is what I take out of this game. The defense played phenomenal. The offensive line gave you by far their best effort of the entire year. And Daniel Jones continues to not be able to finish off games. And hopefully he can as the season wears along. We're off to an 0-4 start. The good news is we're coming off probably, in my opinion, our best performance as an overall team. I know people are just going to analyze the quarterback. And we're still only a game out of the division. As crazy as that may sound, the NFC East is horrible, where you got to play a divisional game. And to me, this is where the season heats up. If I would have told you we're only going to be a game out 4 games into the season, and now we're going to start to play the division, you probably would have signed up for that. You probably would have thought we would have been 2-2. And I'm not telling you we're making the playoffs. We're not. But at least we're still in it, I guess, going into next week against the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, I am not gonna scream about this game. I'm not. You went up against a much better football team, and the New York Giants gave you everything they had. Daniel Jones made a key mistake at the end of the game, and we lost the football game, at least partially because of it. In terms of the blown coverage play, I don't know what happened there. I'd have to watch the game film, but I'm not going to go crazy about the defense because of one play. They gave you a max effort this entire game. I'm proud to be a New York Giants fan. The other thing that I wanted to touch on that the New York Giants have struggled with in recent weeks, and I didn't even look at the stats before I made the video, it just seemed they got much better. On defense, they did. You know, I've talked about it. They've had an over 50% conversion rate, the opposing offense. Well, today, the Rams were 5 for 13. That's where you want to be on offense, unfortunately. We were only 4 for 13. It was a near carbon copy outside of that one play by Jared Goff. The Rams seemed very reluctant to try to make big plays, and the same thing for the Giants. In the end, the biggest difference in this game, the Rams made one big play that the Giants did not. But, we got the Cowboys coming up next, and hopefully we could give them everything we got. But a good effort today. We just came up a little short. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.